Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by our good friends at MLR Graphics. I am Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
Football season's coming up. If you need football jerseys or anything of the sorts, MLR Graphic can hook you up.
Yep, in Breckenridge, Texas, they take care of all of our stuff. Check them out. Also, if you want to play in our Pick'em contest or our Survivor League, you need to go to the Big Honker Podcast private page on Facebook. We'll have it listed there. And if you're trying to get to Hemp Hill Farm, make sure you spell farm right. It's Hemp Hill, PHARM.com. Gummies, dog drops, everything. Make your life so much better with CBD. With us today, our good friend from Southern Louisiana, Mr. Dale Bordelon. Dale, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Glad to be on the show, man.
What project are you doing now? Because you're the most interesting man I know.
Well, all my projects consist of something from the old days. I guarantee you that. And so my latest project, I guess, would have been that old duck call, that 1818 call. There's an old guy. There's a friend of mine. He works for the government at River Cane National Service, I believe, in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And they got an old plantation house that they purchased a couple of years ago. And the house, Oakland Plantation, and it was built in 1820. But they have records. They have an old wood lathe that you work with foot pedal. And it was underneath the basement. And the papers show it was purchased in 1818 to make the tools for this plantation. And they had an old box of tools that they used, and there was two old Soppers duck calls. And he called me to go over there and see, since he knows I like all that stuff. And we went to the Archives Museum, and we took the call. You had to wear gloves and all that, and they had some other people with us. We aged that call back to about 1880. Now that's going to give or take a few years. And and I know some call makers from Louisiana, so it's no doubt the oldest calls in Louisiana.
Yeah.
From what my information. So I took all the measurements then, not wanting to come out with any calls, because all I do is my handmade cane calls. But it kept hitting at me. Something was telling me, man, you need to bring that back to life for the history. So I got with a machinist, and we went back and forth, and I reduplicated that call. And I call it the 1818 call. And so I have that now you can purchase. But I'm doing this for the history.
Yeah.
And it's a big, and it goes with the cane calls. It goes way back. So right now we're working on different woods, and I got some made out of hedge. But I got a bunch of swamp ash while we hunt in the swamp. And ash makes a good call. It's a little softer than hedge. My deal is soft calls. The old French people where I grew up, that's how they hunted to get all these ducks in a hole. They didn't blow loud. And they taught me all this. Of course, I taught myself how to make them soft calls. And so that ash is a hardwood, but in between hedge and cypress, I guess the best you can put it. So I went the other day with my buddy, that P-roll maker that we just made. He made him a dugout with an old Passepartout saw, and we cut that tree up, all hand tools, and I'm gonna have it milled, everything myself, to keep all this in spec for my tradition. So, and I gotta dry this wood, so I'm gonna be furnishing all the wood for these calls, and it's catching on. I got a lot of sales. It's catching on good, and so I'm putting my handmade guts in these calls. I make them guts by hand with a pot with a knife. I don't have no lace or nothing. So the same soundboards that go in them cane calls goes in this 1818 call. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna show you something. There's a fella that sent me some Carlo walnut. That's the softest cypress, the best I can explain to you. I'm gonna blow it for you.
Okay.
I had a couple of calls milled. You can't get no better for a soft call, especially in Louisiana. This is called Carlo walnut. to tell you something. You hear that nasal?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the nasal and the growl in that call.
That's it.
I make sure I have that in all my calls because that's a realistic to a mallard hen. So soft wood works very, very well in my area.
You think people just blow too many ducks out of the hole with their loud calling?
There's no doubt. I'm going to say that absolutely 100%. I've seen it too much. And I don't hunt with people with them loud calls.
It hurts your ears.
I've had people do that. I'm not knocking it. It has its place, not with me.
Right.
We hunting in a cypress swamp. We have no feed. It's buttonwoods, duckweed, as nasty as you want to see. That's what ducks want to come to from daylight on to rest. Over here where I hunt, what I viewed, and you're going to get all kind of people with different ideas. Them ducks feed at night right here where I'm at. They come in these places to set up all day long.
Mm.
So that's why we hunt, and we don't call if we have to, but if we do, it's very, very subtle, like I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
And we do very well with killing ducks.
When did you see the ducks start switching to where they were feeding at night primarily? Is that new?
Well, we was at 40 years ago, them ducks used to come there about 1,000, just all mallards, about 1,000. I hadn't seen that in 20 years. All that switched. It's hard to say. Ducks to me, always fed at night. But I think the last 10 years, 10 years, now I'm going to you get all kind of people say different things. I see a big trend. When you get past Christmas, you can't hardly call a duck anywhere in Louisiana. And you used to be able to call them. It's getting harder and harder is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know this year in January, that's 3 weeks. We limited out. It took till 11 o'clock, 10:30 for 3 weekends. And all we could do was the feeding call. And then we spook half of them. I mean, that tucka, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I tried calling. They just left. And it's just hard. It's getting harder as we speak.
Yeah.
You got to figure
too much pressure.
Do homework and figure ways in your area, how can you kill a few more ducks? And we have a field. I got one willow tree in the middle of the field. I put 3 decoys or 2 decoys and don't call. And I used to kill a lot of mallards like that, but the mallards don't make it here no more. Those mallards stopped coming here for some reason in 2018 while we hunt. Yeah. And I can show you pictures what we used to kill, and all of a sudden it stopped.
2018 was the last year?
We killed 2 years ago. We killed 800 ducks. We had 10 mallards.
Whoa!
Do you think that
last year I didn't keep a record, but we had about 50 mallards. But we had a big ice. When you get an ice storm and that kind of stuff, we kill a few more. But a normal year, it's hard to kill. Can't kill them no more like the old days.
Do you? Back in the old days, speaking of the old days, you're a historian and one of the most interesting people I know. In the early 1900s, mid 1900s, did they kill mostly greenheads in Louisiana, or is this a cycle that we're seeing come back? What I'm asking is, do you think this is cyclical, or do you think this is the end of the mallards?
Well, in 1900s, it was mallards, mostly mallards. A lot of pintails. You had your teals and Norwegians and all, but it was mostly mallards. It was mostly mallards through the 1970s in Louisiana. Because I have records written down for 40 years of hunting. I've talked to too many old people that sold ducks and did this for a living. Their heyday was the 60s and 70s when they cleaned all these fields for agriculture in the late 60s. They was killing mallards, unbelievable, through the early 70s, and that kind of played out, I guess, around 1980. And, the big bunches. And I'm going to tell you something. You say we killed 800 ducks 2 years ago. Listen to what I'm telling you. and we had 10 mallards.
Mhm.
Everybody knows they feed these ducks up north. They got refuges, and we need the refuges. It's just that everything's changed. Those gray ducks and Norwegians are a 95% vegetation eater. They're not stopping those ducks. They're coming through. The mallards quit coming through. I think they just get hung up, not making it all the way down. But my daddy was a big duck hunter. He's passed on, and he told me this for years. I talked to a lot of people. I'm going to get back to him, but I talked to a lot of people all over with these duck holes. Illinois, Kansas, Arkansas. In a general, the duck killing has declined everywhere in the United States the last 5 to 10 years drastically. The people I'm talking to, it's not like the heyday. I believe there's a lot, they're losing habitat, no doubt. That's a big thing against duck hunters. I don't think they have the ducks they used to have. That's my opinion.
Right.
I don't think that's the ducks they had in the 70s.
Well, the mallard numbers are down significantly the last 5 years. I mean, I think the last 5 years, the mallard numbers are almost half what they were 5 years ago.
And then you got lost of habitat. You got all these refuges. There's a refuge by us. One's 20,000 acres, and they got another one in my parish, 7,000 acres. And all these good duck holes, these ducks seem to follow wherever others, and as the year goes, they pile up by the hundreds of thousands. They learned that, all these ducks. But I'm going to tell you something, and it makes duck killing hard for everyone. But I'll tell this to my boys in the blind: you better be glad to have these refuges. We wouldn't be killed. It's help. Those ducks going to go back and at least breed and have a chance to bring babies down. We need refuges. And so we're killing enough ducks. I'm happy we're killing plenty. And I said this a while back with Ramsey. How many ducks does a man need to have? I can go kill 4 or 5 ducks with my kids, and I don't have to have 30 ducks for a picture. We kill enough ducks. There's a lot of people complain, but I see on social media, I see picture piles all over. So, I mean, the duck killing is still going on, but just be happy at what you go with your kids or grandkids, kill 5 or 6. There's nothing wrong with that. You made a good memory.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. This is from migrationstationusa.com. In 2016, there was estimated 12 million mallards, just a hair under 12 million. In 2023, the number was 6.1 million.
There you go.
There's your dip. And like you said, though, looking back in the 60s and 70s, like this isn't anything new. 58, it topped out at 12 million. 65, it bottomed out at 5 million, and then it went back up in the 70s, and we stayed in pretty good standing until 85, and then it ramped up during the 90s pretty good. So,
what's the highest number you got to?
2016, when it was just under 12 million.
And what are we at now, they think?
6.1 mallards.
I wonder what their long-term forecast was on that.
What do you mean?
Well, they always have a long term, and sometimes even though it was 9 million their long term, we're not that far off, or let's say 8 million. We were just way ahead. So I'm curious to what it would be like, what the actual long term average is for ducks. Regardless, the mallard numbers are half down, and the purists do not want to hear this, but maybe we need to go to a 3 mallard limit.
That would suit. Yeah. Something needs to be done, right? You hear all kind of stuff about it, but we don't have the ducks, and I'm not saying that. I'm hearing that all over the United States. I get phone calls every day, and I ask these people, "What, man? It ain't like it used to be." I'm hearing that all over Kentucky. I mean, in the heart of duck hunting, they got people still killing ducks. I'm not saying that, but in a general, it's been a big depletion, and there's some reason behind it. I would like to see 3 ducks, but don't take my days away, man. I like to ride that cool weather, drink my coffee, and ride my pirogue. That's I like the outing.
I'm with you on that with the days. I don't mind cutting down the numbers. Well, I'm in the business. That's how I make a living. So I'm definitely having a selfish reason there, but I don't think we're helping the hunters any if we're going to knock it down to 30 or 45 or 60-day season when you're used to having 100 days.
Right.
I don't think you're helping the cause any for that. So I hope they go to the same days and just cut down the number of ducks. People want to duck hunt. They don't all kill it. I mean, there are guys out there that think they need to kill a big stack of birds, but the purist that wants to duck hunt wants to go duck hunting. I mean, gosh almighty, how many great hunts did I go on in my life where we killed less than 10 birds, but we had such a great time and made great memories? You know, that's people don't get that.
Yeah. I hunted with my grandboy last year. He's 6 now. Over Soppers root decoys and cane calls, 97 shot. He watched me. And we didn't kill, I mean, we killed good, but 4 or 5 ducks. What more you want than that, you know?
I don't understand that. I've seen guys come in here before that have had the most wonderful hunts in the world. And when I say wonderful, a full limit of birds, quick, done, everything's perfect, and come in complain because the hunt was quick, too fast. And I've had guys come in here that hadn't shot a shell all day long that have the greatest time in the world. And it's some days it doesn't matter what you do. And as we age, we take, I don't think we take things for granted, but we appreciate things more. And as we get older, we appreciate the quality of the time we spent more than killing stuff.
Absolutely, man. It's what you make out of it. And if you just in it for pictures, now I take pictures because I sell duck calls to show what the calls do, but that's not the meaning behind it. That memory's made, man. It's not the pic. Well, I have the pictures, but some people just have in their mind they want pictures, and then when they leave the hunting spot, they forgot about the whole hunt.
Yeah,
and it's not about. That's not what it's about. But you know, everybody has a different outlook on it. But it's a sport. It's a beautiful sport. I've said this in the past. You take your grandpa's old gun, your grandpa's old coat, your daddy's old duck call, make a memory with it. Take a kid and enjoy the outing, man. And then it'll grow on you from there. This is a rich, beautiful sport, this duck hunting. It's not just about pictures and going to buy $1,000 of clothes. That's not what it's about.
No, and people get caught up in that, and you see it all the time. This summer we did a family vacation. We were in Maine, and I was sitting on the deck, and all the kids and grandkids were playing wiffle ball, and I was just watching them, and I just got caught up in the moment, and I thought, this is a thing most people forget about. Now I treasure in this because they're all getting to be a family and get together, and there's not a lot of days like that anymore, you know, and people forget about that, and they lose sight of that. So,
absolutely, man. I agree. There's too much. The world has too much to get into now.
When we were at your place last summer, you told me you were fixing to build your new shop. Are you started on your shop yet? Yes,
man. I'm milling the wood myself, and some of this ash. It's a big ash tree. I'm gonna have some 20-inch boards. I'm getting that milled up. And I'm taking the rest. I got in 3 big sections, and I'm making it in duck call material. But I'm going to mill it. I got some sockers that I couldn't mill myself. You might have seen that, Paul. I'm fixing to get with it. And look, there's the most famous market hunter in Louisiana, Paul Champagne. And long history about him in Louisiana. He was the best market hunter. He had old blacks. He had a garage. This is kind of how I'm building my shop. It's going to be a dirt floor, like the 1800, and all that. I hauled that dirt myself from an old pond last year. That got all that. I'm building a shop from the 1800s. Now, when somebody comes here, and I'm gonna be making calls in there. I'm not building a metal building with a big slab like everybody. I'm going the opposite way with direction. I'm building a shop, 1,800 errors, wood vices. I already have that. The wood tables. When you walk in there, it's going to be 18, and that's going to be how I'm going to make my calls. And I'm fixing two. Yeah, I didn't finish it, but I'm trying to get these. I'm trying to cut this boards myself so I can have all hands-on stuff instead of buying any. And I have red oak. I have a big pile of cypress, and I'm gonna have some ash. And it'll be about another 6 weeks.
How long does it take you to mill a board?
And I'm 6 months, and I should have it done. Hopefully.
How long does it take you to mill one board?
Well, I'm gonna bring. I got a friend of mine who's
okay.
got a sawmill, and we're gonna cut it up. And but it's in the swamp and it's dry. I'm gonna probably go within the end of the week and get these logs and bring his place. That's gonna happen probably. Well, the next couple of weeks. We got alligator season. I'm gonna need my trail to haul those alligators. So I gotta in a couple of weeks. I gotta free my trail.
How many alligators are you gonna go after this year?
10. I got 10 tags, and that starts the last week of August. So in
how long will it take you to get all 10 tags?
Yeah,
fill them out.
A weekend.
That fast?
What's a big gator you'll have? What's a big gator for y'all?
The biggest I've caught was 13.2.
How'd you get him in the boat?
I got a board that weighs about 270 pounds. Me and him loaded by ourselves. Well, no, he was 12.6. I've caught 13.2, several 12s, but 2 people can load a big gator. That's one way you can do it. And I'll have to show you. You got to put his front leg on the edge of the boat, just roll him at an angle. Get his head in first. Once you get half the front leg rolled over, then the rest of the body will follow. That's the only way you can load them.
Yeah, there's no hide or anything to grab onto. It's not like a deer or something where you got loose skin to grab onto.
No, you got to grab the leg and all. But we have so many alligators, and there's so many lakes in that swamp where I hunt adjacent to us that's on refuge. When them gators start mating, they travel like deer. They roam in April and May. You see them all over. And then when they get where I'm at, they might stay there all year. And I got a real big one. He's a 12-plus gator as we speak, and I can't catch him. He's been there 2 years, and I want him out of there. They steal our ducks. They follow us in the pirogues. You can't hunt with a dog. I had a big gator eat an otter January the 1st, year before last. Ate an otter January the 1st. They should be hibernating now.
You'd figure, but
it was at that night. It was 50 degrees. When it gets 50 degrees at night, 65 in the day, they'll go in a feeding mode. These alligators, even in the winter. Don't let nobody tell you they hibernate all year. Because they steal my duck the whole winter. January, November, December. When it warms 2 or 3 days, they're in full feeding mode.
Really? And
we have a
now, why can't you get this 112-footer? Is he just dipping and dodging you?
He's like an old buck. That 13.2, it took me 2 years to catch him. I've seen them, and it took 2 years. They don't feed like you think. They're smart like an old buck, and they have the same pattern like old bucks. They'll get away from the activity. They'll get back to them sloughs, and they hang out. They come out at night to feed when you're not around there, and you got to outsmart them, but that's hard to do. There's an old Frenchman that taught me this 40 years ago. You put your old rotten stuff in a crawfish sack and hang it way up in the tree where you can't get it. Them little ones come first. It's like a parade. When they throw candy, the kids beat the grown-ups to it. Because they're young, they're fast. That's the same thing with gators. Them little ones will come to the tree an hour later, but them big ones, they're a little cautious. It takes 2 or 3 days. But you get them in the area, then you go hang your fresh bait. And he's going to run them little ones out of there, and you'll catch them. And that's how I've caught them in the past.
Now,
it's a fun it's a fun sport. It's to try to figure out how to beat them and win at it. And I love it, man, because we catch some big ones and we succeed with it very well.
Have you ever had any close calls? Like, has one ever like got taken, almost snapped at you or bitten your hand or anything, or is it pretty safe?
I've seen big ones in the decors, and I got to go get a duck. They won't fool with you in the pirogue. But you never know when a big one, you have a bad attitude. They have attacked people in boats. So I try not to park my boat too far, and I don't want my bars to get hurt. So I'll do, like in the morning, in the teal season, that's when it's really dangerous. And we don't stand in the water. We got blinds. We stand in the water, but we wait till it's cold. Because they'll sneak right up on you, man. They know how to hunt you before you know it. They done caught you and killed you. So in the morning, I just you keep your light, the old people, you keep your light on the water all over. And that's kind of spooks them, keep them away from you.
Yeah, I got to imagine teal season's
but
awful
it's a
for gators.
Oh, my God. I didn't chase one, hit them with a paddle under the water. I do that all the time. Most of the time, they won't let your duck go, but boy, I hate to lose it to you to a gator.
Have you ever had one scare you?
Oh, my God. You better believe. I had about a 12-plus footer like they got one of my kids.
When was this?
When there was, I got two bars, they 28, 29, 32, something like that. But when there was about 6, 8 years old, they was dip netting at the camp. And my wife was coming to meet me, and I was cooking. It was during the day I was cooking for dinner, for supper, and getting it ready. And then they was dipping, and I every now and then go check on them and go stir my pot. Then my wife came, and they went fishing. So I got everything done, and I walked out there. It was all still and quiet, about 4 feet of water, kind of murky. I went, just standing by it. We have a fireplace outside. And I looked in the water. I seen a little movement. I said, what's that? Right where they was dipping. And I seen an eyeball just pop up. Then I seen his nose. He was 12 plus. I said, oh, my God. He was after my boys. I went to camp. All I had was a single shot at a high power lead, and he went under. I went back by the chimney. It's a shame to say. It took 20 minutes. When he popped up, I let him have it, bud. And he took off. I jumped in a boat, and I could hit him. His body. He was on the bottom. He went off in the buttonwoods. I never found him. I didn't kill him, though, because he never floated. But I'm saying 5 more minutes, he'd have ate one of my boys.
That's scary. There is nothing in the swamps of Louisiana that makes it fun for me. I don't like snakes. I don't like gators. And I got a kid working for me that's a coon-ass kid, Hunter, good kid. And he tells me about something called a rougarou.
Oh, yeah, that's an old Louisiana myth about a werewolf, half alligator.
Yeah, the rougarou. He tells me he saw it one time. I say he's full of shit. Do you know anybody else that's seen the rougarou?
He probably saw it after he drank it. I've never heard that. It's an old myth, but no, I never heard of that. People start all that and have stories. They got just stories about it, but
the rougarou.
They got enough stuff in this swamp. You're right, because we get in the blowings. You got to shine for snakes. You got alligators wanting to get in your blowing. You got to watch. But that's what we got. And that's why I hunt.
Now let me ask you this: Would you rather have a water moccasin chasing your P-row or a gator?
Oh, I take that snake any day. Now I don't want to get in the blind. There's a big snake in there. That's happened before. That I don't like a snake. Right. It's a surprise.
Because I've heard that water moccasins are aggressive and like they'll chase your boat.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, we've got so many alligators in that swamp. You don't hardly see any snakes. I'm gonna be honest with you. They'll clean them out, man. We don't hardly see none. I mean, they have them, but them alligators, you gotta. I mean, it helps keep the peace in there. I call it. Them nutrients would steal my brush from my blowing. They're a nuisance. We don't have none of that. If you see one in there, a beaver or nutria, he ain't gonna last long. One of them gators, we got too many. We got a lot of swamp. You can't go. That's why they hang out, them gators. And so they got loghead. They got everything in there. You just got to work with them and be part of it. Be careful. That's it.
So you're telling me the gators are cleaning up the nutria and the snakes?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
we need to send a bunch of Democratic eating gators to them big cities is what we need to do. Clear them out. You know, they got an old saying in Texas, if you want to get rid of something, you tell someone from Louisiana that it tastes good and it's illegal. And they'll be gone in a week or two. You bring in a bunch of coon asses and they'll get rid of it all.
Yeah, but you gotta make sure it's illegal. And I got a bunch of old friends. I could tell you some stories, man. The old hunters from Louisiana, but that's a way of life for a lot of them old people. I mean, there's not much of that going on too much, but I got a bunch of stories from the old. I used to bring them old hunters ducks from the 70s. I was so amazed with their stories. And man, they would be so happy when they couldn't go anymore. And I still do it by running out of hunters because I'm fixing to be one of them old people. But they tell me all kinds of stories, and I started writing them down, and I got a whole bunch of stories from the 1930s, early 30s about their hunting, the ducks they killed. And in 1945, there was hardly any mallards that came in Louisiana. I know one man come out the war. They had a hard time killing mallards. They killed a bunch of ringnecks. And one of my old friends sold ducks for 40 years in New Orleans. They would come get them at his house for a restaurant. 40 years. He had 50 live callers at his house. He would hunt with. He'd hunt 4 at a time, live ducks. He had 50 in a pen. And he'd put 4 in the back. And you could talk that game one for an hour, he said. They never let a word out. He did. It was very quiet.
That's all.
But I got a lot of his stories written down, and along with a bunch of old other hunters. And one day I'm going to publish a book. I need to have somebody do it for me, but I have the stories. Unbelievable. And you know what makes a good story? It's not about this man killed 150 ducks.
Yes, the details is all of what it's about in the story.
What it was that morning, what little clip he used to put on that mallard's leg, and just the little stories, the details that go, that makes unbelievable stories. But I have a bunch of that. And one day with my stories, I'm gonna try to put something together. It might be, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm fascinated with all that old history, man.
They use these collars, the English collars, the duck that they use, because my dad used to know an old man that did it too. And they would tie it up and they would throw her up in the air, and all she'd do is quack. And they said them ducks would just beat their ass to get down in the decoys with them. And they use live decoys.
I had an old hunter named Sammy Poncho. He could hardly speak English. He sold ducks by the hundreds in New Orleans. He had a trained hand he'd put in his pocket, a little mallard hen. And those days, there was a big bunch of ducks. When there was a bunch that come, he'd throw that hen in the air out of his blind. And she'd make a pass and join them. And naturally, all ducks follow one another. She'd make one pass and come straight in that hole and bring that whole bunch in there. And he told me a bunch of times, when they would hit the water, she'd put her head down and haul ass to the blind. She knew what was going to happen. Went back to the blind, and they had a little corn he gave me. He put it back in the blind, and they murdered those ducks, man. They trained them for that. I got a duck trained right now that comes in my shop and calls with me. You can train a duck just like a dog.
Did you?
I call every day in the yard. They fly around, and I'll go in the pasture, and I can get them to come land by me. That teaches me how to call very, very much.
So, did this duck that comes into your barn, did you get her as little, or just she was just a wild duck?
No, I raised them. We raised them from babies, and just playing with them, calling. They come to my shop every day when I'm calling, and I listen to them. I want to tell you something right here, and people might disagree with me. And I posted this on TikTok a while back. Some people say I'm nuts, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been raising ducks a long time. People say this right here. People call that the feeding call. It's not the feeding call. When I go open my pen to those ducks, and I've had these ducks, I've had ducks before these, I had ducks for 40 years. When I go open my pen, when they hear me coming there, they start
greeting.
They do. It's an exciting call. Then when I open the pen and let them out, they quit.
Yeah.
And they go to eating. When they're feeding, they don't. I got videos of that. They don't make. All they do is they grunt here and there and a little whisper. That's all you're gonna hear. I did that. I didn't seen it, watched it too often. If I got a duck in the yard and one takes off flying or goes behind the house and they're not together, they'll do that. When they get all together, they quit. It's an exciting call.
Right.
That's my opinion. That's not nobody telling me this. That's my diagnosis of this. And some people say you can't do that in 5 foot of water. I do it all the time in 5 foot of water and kill the crap out. We did it last year for 3 weeks. Just that little. It's a confidence call. It's an exciting call. So that's my definition of it. I didn't see it too many times with my duck, and not just these ducks. Different bunch after different bunch does the same techniques.
So where do you think that people learn this feeding call, or how did it get named the feeding call? Like when did this take hold?
I don't know, but it's just like somebody says, and I hear that my whole life. Them spoonbills ain't no good unless they're white. How many times you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, spoonies aren't any good. Yeah.
How many times you heard those spoonbills, if they're red, throw them away?
Right.
You heard that for all your life, huh?
Yeah.
That's people hearing things and just hearing what they heard, passing it down. I think it's people hearing that and they're just carrying it on. But I've done killed planet ducks in deep water doing just that chattering call. There's a big call maker said you can't. It's over a foot of water. You can't do that. He's full of crap because I do it all the time. So, but you're gonna get people on this episode is gonna disagree with me, and I'm not worried about it. This is what I experienced with my ducks, and I've been doing this a long time, and I hunt like this. If I see a bunch of ducks coming in them buttonwoods halfway broke, I just and 9 out of 10, I can get them to come in versus a loud calling. The way we hunt ducks in this swamp, they're already coming halfway broke. My philosophy is I'll start on the bottom end of the duck call, working my way up instead of starting at the high end coming down.
Right.
Think of something.
Right.
I'd rather undercall a duck than overcall a duck. So when they're flying over broke, I put my head down, cuff my call, and as soft as I can. Then I'll work it the other way on up if I have to.
Right.
It looked like those ducks, like, let me go see her. They didn't hear enough of it. They want to come back. That's my outlook on it. And we're very successful doing that.
Right. Yeah. Because if you overcall, you're not going to get a second chance. But if you undercall, you can always ramp yourself up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That makes sense whenever you put it that way. Undercall.
That's how. and it's very productive. I've been doing that a long time. I'm not a professional hunter, but I'm just saying it works for us.
Yeah. Well, just and that can be a takeaway from this episode is do the minimum amount to have the maximum results. You know what I mean? Whether it's goose hunting, duck calling, whatever it is, do the least amount and to get the maximum amount of results, because then you've got a place to go later in the year or later that week or whatever the case may be. But if you throw the kitchen sink at them first time out, first weekend, you got nowhere else to go over the course of the year.
If you see a good-looking woman and tell her, babe, I got $1 million, I want to go out with you, you done shot your wad.
You shot your wad.
Got to start at the bottom and work your way. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
You got to start. You got to have room to work up. That's right.
Yeah. I'm going to use that because I mean, that makes a lot of sense the way you're putting it now. Because I think now that I'm looking back on some of my hunts, I'm top down. So this year I'm going to be bottom up.
Start off slow, man, and not loud. Just very gentle with it. Yeah. And my boy hunts 300 yards from me sometimes. He got a soft call. He sounds just like an O'Malley hen, but very low key. And boy, he sucks them up. They're already coming there. All you need to do is a little coaching,
right.
And there's sometimes we blow loud, and I can blow a call loud, but we don't do that too often.
Right.
I'm going to tell you something. For me and my bunch, I'll go from the medium of the call on down. That's what 95% of my duck killing is from that medium range to the low end, never the high end. Now I'm talking about you might call a 400-yard flock to come down, but I'm talking about when them ducks are 60 yards, 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
We try to put them on the water like the old people. That's why you got to have a soft, effective call. A soft call with a lot of nasal in it.
Right.
What I want to change it up just a little bit. We'll talk about sugar cane. Y'all are getting the sugar cane production is increasing down there, correct?
As we speak, sugar cane done took over Louisiana.
And that's hurting the duck hunting as much as anything is, but nobody wants to talk about that a lot of times.
I'm going to tell you a story about it. We had a grain elevator. That was our occupation. We have a lot of customers. I retired since then. We don't do that no more, but we did that 50 years. We hunted geese, not ducks. Geese, because it's a dry field in one of our customers' fields, South Louisiana. Beautiful, beautiful place. A lot of geese in the area and ducks. And every time we'd go, we was very successful. Speckled belly, snow geese, and we had good hunts. Now, this fella retired farming, so he leased his land out to sugarcane farmer because they're paying $200 an acre. I'm going to tell you that. $200 an acre. And he said, man, I can't pass up that money. I said, yeah, you just ruined everything about hunting, doing that just for money. Just joking.
Mm-hmm.
That land's been in sugarcane for 10 years now, I'll say. 8 to 10 years. We made one hunt since then. We went. They don't come there no more. And some people say, them old geese will go in the cane field. They'll go in there when it's sleeting or it's 13, 15 degrees. Yeah, they'll stop there 1 or 2 days, and that's it.
Right.
We would kill them in the sunshine, 60-degree day, beautiful days, all day long when it was a grain field. They don't come there no more. That is happening all over Louisiana that I've seen. They got a lot of rice fields, yeah, but in general, sugarcane that took over Louisiana is hurting the goose industry. Duck and geese. That's right.
I wonder, when we were down there, I noticed a lot more. I saw very little grain and saw a lot of sugar cane, but nobody ever wants to talk about it. Everybody in southern Louisiana wants to complain about the hot water and everything else. Well, there's nothing to eat in the backyard. When you don't have any food there, it costs you. We had a bad drought here in 2011, and a lot of our peanut, we had very few peanuts, and we had little bit of water. And guess what? We had a little bit of geese.
Mm-hmm.
and it goes hand in hand. And that's what's happening in southern Louisiana right now. And the mallard numbers are way down anyways. And you got a lot of people out there, they don't want to shoot a duck unless they're shooting a mallard. Well, you're either a duck hunter or you're a mallard hunter because you can't be both.
No. But going back to that sugar cane, I'm telling you from my experience, that's nobody told me this. I know what we killed before to what we kill now that's in cane, and it went to nothing. That's my personal experience. We don't hunt that no more because they don't go in them fields. Now, somebody's going to get in there and say all kind of crap. They can say what they want. I'm just telling you, this is what I've seen. Me and my hunting friends, we don't hunt that no more. And going back to killing ducks, man, my favorite duck is that blue wing. They can mallards. I don't have mallards. It's fun to shoot, but that's not. Give me them blue wings, and you see that blue patch with that sun shining on it, man, you can't get nothing prettier than that in a big flock of blue wings.
Why are you drawn to the blue wing so much?
Andy, I guess because as a kid, since I was 14, 13 years old, we always hunted that. We used to go to Catahoula. It was that time of the year we go to a bunch of pirogues 40 years ago, 45, and we hunted that all the time in September. And it just grew on us. I don't know, it's just something special to me and my friend, and my boys. And it's just the time of the year, I guess. I just love. That's my favorite duck to shoot is a blue wing in teal season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it.
I can't. I guess the memories I have with that.
Right. Yeah, teal season's always special just because number one, for us, it's the first duck that we get to shoot. We have a 2 weeks early season in September, so you're kind of getting out there for the first time, dusting off your duck calls and throwing some decoys in the water, and it's really relaxed too. For me, it is. The hunts are usually over 30, 45 minutes, and our guys are ready to go. And because what we do here is we do a teal hunt / dove hunt. So a lot of times guys will do an early morning teal hunt, and then 9:30 they're ready to go shoot a couple dove and then have lunch about noon. So it's always a relaxed time, but it's always a time that we kind of kick off our waterfowl season here. And I love it. My boys really like it. Yeah. The weather's always nice. We're not having to bundle up, and we're not having to, take a whole bunch of gear. And they don't look like Ralphie and Ralphie's brother in A Christmas Story with clothes on and everything. And
I think it's
usually over pretty quick.
It's quick. Yeah. It's quick. It's easy. You can be social.
Yeah.
It's just not a hard deal, and it's a good time.
And usually a lot of action too.
Absolutely. The only bad thing in Louisiana now is humid mosquitoes.
Yeah.
You got to fog. We fog that blowing when we get in there with them thermocells. That really helps. And you sweat, but I don't mind doing that. It's a beautiful hunt, man. We just always enjoyed that. Then I got some teal cypress root decoys that I built years ago. My boys killed that first ducks over them. So that too, it's a sport. Last year we killed 2 banded ducks in the blue. It was my boy's birthday, September the 15th. That's when it opened. And the first bunch we razooed, man, I went pick it up. They had a banded blue wing. I came back to him. I threw it to him. I said, "Happy birthday."
That's awesome.
You couldn't have given anything better.
Yeah. Now, I saw you also got a banded specklebelly with Stacy Coker last year.
Yeah, we sure did. Now, we don't know who killed it. We drew for it. But, yeah, it was we killed 33 specks on that hunt, man. That was a good hunt. And but yeah, we went after the hunt. We was looking. One of the boys said, "Man, they got a band." So we drew for it, and one of the guards, I forgot who got it, but yeah, that was special. That was a good hunt, man.
Do you try to do a specklebelly hunt every year, or try to do a goose hunt every year with in Arkansas? Or
I went with him last year with Boss.
Mm-hmm.
Boss came over there, and there was kind of the beginning of the season deal, just before duck season. Like how you call that? Just a get together. Boss came. Boss bought those war chiefs.
Yeah.
And that's the first time we shot them.
It's a real deal, huh?
Oh my God! I'm gonna tell you something. I folded a speck 40+ yards going away, like you hit them with a baseball. That's a shell, man. The war chiefs. That's what I'm shooting now with ducks.
Yeah.
I shoot that nonsense. That's and I like to shoot now I'm shooting teals, big ducks, and a few geese. So I'll shoot a number 5. To me, it's all around good shell. But that war chief, that's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, we shot it in Canada last year we shot at everything, but we had a couple snow goose hunts up there, and you know, we were that third shell, you know what I mean? That snow goose is getting away, and I mean, there were a bunch 50 plus with the war chief.
Right.
But
yeah,
I mean it's the real deal for sure.
You have to use whole guns and you know, and that's all gun kills like lead. I ain't joking.
Mm-hmm.
I love them shells.
Now, what gun?
Great.
I'm looking at the picture here with you and Stacy. What gun do you have?
I had an 1897 made in 1915.
Wow.
That's my 30-inch full. That's my go-to duck everyday gun right there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. That's a beautiful piece right there.
That was a hunting license in that old gun from 1929 we found.
Really?
And I posted it on Facebook. I had a copy of it. Let me rephrase that from years ago. But I posted on Facebook. A fella reached out to me. He had the original.
Wow.
But his daddy's passed on. He came to my shop. We went to the office supply. I made a big, beautiful 11 by 17 copy in full colors. Then I posted that. Then a fella reached out to him. I think that's my great-great-grandpa, his name. It's all right here. My hometown is local. He came over here. It was his great-great-uncle. He bought me a picture, his life history. So I have the whole history of the gun, who had it and all that. It's amazing, man. Fella he was born in the 1880s. Eugene Turner had that shotgun. I know it don't mean much, but anyway, he served in World War I, duck hunted with the Depression, and fed his family with growbacks in the 1930s right here in the little where I'm from. Most people I'm from survived with growbacks and the Depression. That's all they had. That's a yellow crowned knot heron. It's a summer bird. It's very edible. And my grandpa he used to hunt for people, the growbacks, to feed. They gave him some shells, and it's to feed his family, and they survived off of that. But that gun that killed many a growback, from what I understand. And it's still killing ducks to this day.
And that's what they fed their family with during the Depression, with those glowbacks?
Yep. Growback. A growback is big beak in French.
Big beak?
It has that's what that means, and that's what the old French people call them. But they're very edible. They taste like a teal.
Really?
The young ones.
How much meat can you get off them? It's about the same size as a teal?
It's kind of like a pigeon,
okay.
I guess. So it's a little bigger than a teal, yeah. But you catch them when they're young. There's been a lot of growback killers around here in the old days when I was young. We make some big suppers, or the old people would. They don't do that no more now. But
now, when did you get this gun? When did you get that gun? What year?
I guess about 6 years ago. My best friend is a pair. One was made in 1914, and this one 1915. A fella I knew bought that in 1983, 41 years ago. And he worked with my best friend. My best friend ended up buying it from him. And then my best friend married my sister. My daddy ended up with one. I ended up with the other one. And then my daddy passed away. Then I ended up with his. So I have a pair of them, the original pair. A lot of history behind it.
Yeah. Has it ever given you any problems? Not a one.
I'm going to tell you something. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know a gun today, a modern shotgun, that I'll shoot that gun. I done sat in the blind with them balls. I done that last year. It was a crib with about 60 yards. And they would boom, boom. You know how that steel does? It scatters. I said, boys, just joking, put that gun down. I said, I want one of y'all. How far you take that? One of them said about 60 yards. Boy, I cleaned his plow. They was amazed. Now, I mean, it just happened lucky like that. But that's a shooting. It's got whoever did that the pattern design, them old guns got a hell of a choke, man, for being a choke of a factory choke, because it shoots them that boss unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always killed like them old cripples. I'm the one to finish
You're
them
the
off.
cripple guy.
Even
yeah. What year did you say you got? How old is that gun?
That gun was made in 1915.
I've got a gun in the other room that's about the same time. I think it's 1908, maybe. It was my great grandfather's old shotgun, and I've got it hanging up. I've never shot it, but I could shoot it. That's
the good thing with Boss is all these old guns is it's safe to run through them.
Right.
But the thing is about them old guns, like those 97s, they made them standard in 30-inch and 26-inch. Now, you could specify your barrel length in the old days. So you're going to see a short barrel gun and a 30-inch. That's how it commonly came. But they made modifiers. You need to have a full choke to have and that's what any Bismarck loads. It takes a good full choke to be very successful.
Yeah.
I have some 897s that's full choke. Modified. It doesn't kill as good as that full choke. It really does the trick.
Yeah, everybody, at these shows, they're always asking me, what do I need to, I got this fancy choke and that choke and I got this. And it's like, dude, just put the factory full in and just send it. You're making it too complicated.
That's right. There you go. And I got an 0870 I took that old factory barrel off. I bought that gun 30 years ago with a 26-inch barrel and hunted with it for 25 years and killed all the ducks I wanted. And when I bought it, they all said you got to have a 26. That's the new thing to swing that barrel. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I used that all these years, killed a lot, but that's a myth because that old 30-inch 97, I done made triples on teals several times. I could shoot it just as good as that. I never seen why the longer barrel would be a problem. I prefer the longer barrel is what I'm saying now. So I took the barrel off that and I put a plain barrel, old 30-inch barrel in that old 870. When it's raining, I pack that 870 with me. That 97 has too many moving parts. And I don't want to get it. It's too hard to clean. So when it's my old 870, you can use that for a boat power. It's a good gun, so that's what I use on my rainy days. Right.
Now, going back to the gators, do you eat anything off of these gators?
Nothing? No. This is the 38th season I've been doing it. And when we started doing this, you had to clean it yourself. And then you get on the phone and you find the best buyer. That's when coon hides was worth a lot of money, everything else. And then I drive all over Louisiana to the best dealer. And then they rolled it. You have to scan them, salt them down. Then they would unroll it and inspect it. And then you sell them like that. For the last 10 years, maybe longer than that, probably 15 years, they want the meat. They don't want the hide no more. So I set them whole. But when I was doing this, I took it every way you can eat it. We did all that, when I was young in my 20s. And I don't care to eat it too much. I've done ate it, but if you ever eat a bad piece on a tail, that's the worst thing you can put in your mouth.
It'll ruin you.
Now you got to clean it. Ruin that. You got to clean that real good. But I'd rather have some barbecue chicken. Beyond, I've been seeing throw two cottonmouths at the camp. As soon as they floated the egg, they'll watch the gators eat them. Look, they eating all that.
All that nastiness.
I just good stuff to eat.
So even your seasoning wouldn't make gator good? You got your new seasoning out.
Oh, yeah. It probably would. I had a man send me a picture yesterday with a Bloody Mary.
Did he?
Put it.
Good for everything.
He said, boy, go with a hardball even. Yeah, I got a lot of value beef seasoning, right.
Got it all.
No, it took me 12. I done that 12 years ago, and it took me a year and a half to do it.
To get all the kinks worked out?
Yeah. And then finally, I got a fella to make it. I'd put it up, but it's a pretty good blend. I'm starting to get. I'm not going to store, but there's few people that want to put in stores, and I'm doing that as I speak. I think it's going to take off pretty good.
I tell you what, Louisiana cooking is taking on a whole new just group of people. Instagram has been really good for that. There's a new guy down there called Cajun Cook, and you may know who he is, but he cooks and he wears overalls all the time, and he's a skinny guy, got a beard, and every day he cooks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that man, he's from Mooreville, Louisiana, which is right here. That's where he's originally from. I think he lives in Arkansas
I enjoy
now.
his cooking. I do. I watch it all the time, and he has cornbread with everything, but he cooks everything like on a Dutch oven type deal. Everything's outside, looks like, in his cookhouse.
Yeah, he made a few videos, and a friend of mine that knows told me, man, I never thought he'd take off like that. He's very popular. He's got his own line of cornbread
Cooking with
now.
Cajun. Audrey DeSalle.
Cooking with.
He was good.
Yeah. He's from Mooreville.
Yeah, he's going to come on the podcast, but he wants to come do it in studio. And I'd like to have him in, but he cooks some really cool, and I really enjoy watching him. But Cooking with Cajun, he's got 1.1 million followers now on Instagram, and when I first started watching him, it was maybe 100,000.
Oh man, he took off. Yeah, he got something people like. He does a good job with it.
He's himself, and that is a really cool thing.
Yeah, he's from right here though, in Balls Parish, same parish I'm from.
Well, he's an interesting guy.
That's what I'm on it.
That's awesome. So what else you got going on, Dale? Got hunting season coming up?
Yeah, we're going. We got to finish. I put my big blind to the cap. We had to redo the floor. We did that, and I took all the tin off the blind. I want a 3D blind. My boy has a blind like that, just brushed with buttonwood where you can see through it, versus tin or plywood.
Yeah.
And he kills ducks every time he goes. It's a one-man blind he's got. So I took my big blind and we did that with it. Now we got to go touch it up maybe this weekend. It's at the camp, and it's brushed, but we're gonna really cut some cypress limbs and buttonwoods, and then go put it back in another spot, 70 yards probably. Been hunting in one spot 38 years. This year, we're gonna move it 70 yards for the first time. We think it's a little better spot. Doug Camp Dennis come did a hunting show with me. John Paul Bourgeois, and we hunted that spot. My boy's been hunting there with no blind, and it's a good spot. And we killed 2 limited ducks with Bourgeois right there. We had it's gonna be a good show.
Good.
So that's why we're gonna move it. There's not as many trees, and it looks like it's gonna be a good spot. But we gotta do that the next couple of weeks. Then we got alligator one weekend, and it's teal season, and it's all just going. And we're spraying water lilies right now as we speak. I gotta go tomorrow, the next day, and start spraying. We spray every week.
The best time of the year is here, my friend. You keep doing what you're doing out there. You're doing a great job telling the history of waterfowl, and it's always your Instagram page. I love watching everything that you're doing out there. So keep doing what you're doing. It's always fun to talk to you, and glad we got to shake your hand at least at Baton Rouge. But stay safe this waterfowl season. Don't let those gators sneak up on you.
Well, I'll try not to. We're gonna keep them in check if we can.
There you go.
Dale,
you want to have me on, Andy and Jeff. I appreciate that very much. I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you.
And it's always a pleasure talking with y'all. And I'm gonna send y'all some Bayou Beef seasoning.
We would appreciate that, and we'll use it all winter. Thank you, my friend. You have a very, very good fall and winter, and hopefully we'll bump into you here before long.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Dale.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Super good dude.
He is.
Very interesting guy.
Smart man.
Yeah, very smart. Really interesting. I love people that like all the old stuff because I appreciate history, and I wish more people did. Thank you for everyone that's listened to us. Thank you for our sponsors. God bless y'all. Have a great week.
Love you. Bye. Check out all of our sponsors. Go check out Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, Hemp Hill Farm with a PH. Use our promo code BHP. Mallard Bay, Mossberg, Double T British Kennels, Ducks Unlimited, Lucky Duck, Mitch Hall Chevrolet, Looking Glass Podcast, Shin Gear, Dirty Duck Coffee, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls, promo code BHP25, Boss Shot Shells, and MLR Graphics.